I had no idea the British press was so bigoted.
This One's Wife. Brutal takedown. This One's Wife is an idiot. She's also a narcissist. Many narcissists are idiots, but there are plenty that are not, that are actually intelligent individuals and can be successful. But we're talking about this One's Wife, and she is an idiot. This deluded individual believes that she's going to become a billionaire as a consequence of As Ever, a half-baked idea that is not unique, that has a range that so far encompasses 3 types of tea: honey that you can't buy, cookie mix, crepe mix, guinea pig food, and the magical raspberry spread. Yes, through the transformative powers of raspberry spread, this One's Wife seeks to make her fortune, failing to realize that $1 billion is a very large sum of money indeed. But she believes that she can do this off the strength of her product. So let's find out what certain people think about the raspberry spread, to see if it is going to be the foundation of intense wealth for this One's Wife. Before we get to the main event, I thought we would warm up with some observations about the raspberry spread that has come from The Cut, because they've decided to ask people that work at that publication what they thought about it. Here are their views, a little bit like the undercard in boxing before we get to the main bout. I wouldn't pay $14 for this. Its consistency is a little too thin for my taste. You really wouldn't be able to spread it on toast. But it does taste like real raspberries, more tangy than sweet. That's what Catherine Thompson, the features editor, thinks. Honestly, I like the This One's Wife jam, or spread I should say. Whatever it's called, it tastes of raspberries and sugar, which are in fact the primary ingredients. I do think texture-wise it's too runny for a PB&J, or, God forbid, an open-faced slice of toast. But it would do quite well spread thinly inside a crepe, which feels more like This One's Wife's breakfast vibe. Personally, I would enjoy a dollop on top of a slice of chocolate cake, or a scoop of ice cream. That's Katja Vujic, a writer. I was put off by the texture. It's slimy and viscous, a bit like baby food. Generously raspberry puree. Emily Gould pulls no punches as a features writer there. Is there such a thing as bad raspberry jam? I like how runny this one is, and I loved her show. Sue me, says Jen Ortiz, deputy editor. It's somehow simultaneously chunky and runny, somehow very sweet and also perhaps salty. Equal parts, do I like this? I don't think I like this. And wait, I kind of like this. I could see this growing on me or myself completely forgetting about its existence. 7 out of 10. I wouldn't pay full price for it, though, says the rather indecisive Dania Isawi, fashion news writer. It's too runny and too sweet for me, personally, but I like the dramatic reveal of the packaging, Chantal Fernandez, style features writer, tells us. I'm not much of a jam person, or preserves, or jelly, so I don't have much to compare This One's Wife's jam to, but I think it's too sweet. But I'll try the honey when she restocks, tells us Brooke Marine, the culture editor. Agree with everyone that it's too runny and oozy, but it tastes good in an unremarkable jam way, offers the backhanded compliment of Danielle Cohen, the senior news editor. It sucks. It's like something you'd see at the toppings bar at Pinkbury, not a functional standalone jam in itself. I would argue that not only Bon Maman is far superior, but also Smucker's. Very disappointing. I figured she'd be better at making jam than producing podcast content, but no, slams E.J. Dixon, senior writer. It was fine. The vessel for my jam, a week thin, was better than the jam itself. Hannah Flanagan, the shopping editor, explains. This wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I also would not buy it. I was yearning to be converted to a jam lover, and it didn't work. Brooke Lamantia, editorial assistant. I used to prefer Welch's, tells Jessica Willis, style director. So The Cut gets us going, and it doesn't seem like billionaire status is going to be coming anytime soon as a consequence of those largely uncomplimentary and critical assessments from The Cut team. But now we're going to get to the main event. Settle back as along comes Maureen Callahan. She writes, well, at least one thing is authentic about As Ever. Just like its founder, these foodstuffs and tea bags overpromise and underdeliver. Straight out of the gate comes Maureen with a quick kiss, bang, bang towards this one's wife's aspirations. Trust me, I ordered everything available and put it to a taste test. A brief taste, that is. Most of this one's wife's outrageously priced products are inedible. Truly, oosh, a kick in the vag there for this one's wife. Even the language on the cheap-looking plasticky packaging is insulting. Oosh, poke in the eye. She's staggering back already under this onslaught from Callahan. Consider the steeping instructions on her little tin containers of tea bags. $12 per tin or $1 per tea bag. Bring water to a boil. Now that is peak this one's wife. Unnecessary verbiage conveying unneeded thought or instruction. Slam! Throat punch. As any expert tea maker will tell you, it's actually best not to bring water to a boil, as extreme heat can damage the flavour. Just shy of a boil is the recommended temperature. The $14 crepe mix, meanwhile, displays this descriptor: French style. You might think someone as sophisticated and worldly as the Duchess would know that crepes are a French invention, so by definition, they are French style. The clue is in the spelling, this one's wife. Bosh! She's given her a heel of the palm, slam to the chin, sending the Duchess of Delusion staggering backwards. Callahan's comment there reminds me of Ricky Martin singing about French champagne. The French is superfluous. Champagne is inherently French because it's from the Champagne region in France. Similarly, this one's wife describes crepes as French style, and Callahan rightly points out it's inherent in the description that they're French. You don't need to say they're French style. The limited edition Wildfire Honey with honeycomb, $28, was not included in my order because it seems this one's wife and her crack team couldn't get it together. Even her apology note to customers who suffered unfulfilled honey orders due to overselling contained sloppy copy and grammatical errors. Thank you again for your understanding and support and for continuing to celebrate with us at this exciting time of launch, she writes. Note to this one's wife: these customers aren't celebrating with you. They placed orders on something now unfulfilled. That's not great for business. She's grabbed this one's wife by the hair and is spinning her around the ring. Further evidence of the slapdash nature is in her last line. So much more goodness is coming soon. Minus a period, or full stop to us Brits. How could this one's wife, who as we know loves writing and calligraphy, make such a basic mistake? Ending a sentence with a period, or full stop, is the grammatical rule. It denotes a completed thought. Then again, when it comes to completed things, well, unless it's the severing of familial bonds, this one's wife often lacks follow-through. Ooh! She's bounced her against the ropes, and as she comes back across the ring, bosh! She fells her with a drop kick. On the morning my delivery arrived, this one's wife's second attempt at podcasting dropped. What a day. The debut episode of Confessions of a Female Founder opens with our host introducing herself as this one's wife. Guess she learned her lesson from that cringe-inducing I'm Sussex Now moment on Netflix and telling us she's had sleepless nights over the packaging experience of this new brand. A month ago, she says, I was absolutely consumed with packaging. Really? To feel, look at, and attempt to open this stuff is to doubt that assertion. Over comes Callahan, and she gives it a foot stomp on this one's wife as she's lying prone on the canvas. Let's begin with the raspberry preserve, which comes in what this one's wife calls a keepsake box, and which one can repurpose as a charming home for your favourite trinkets and small treasures. This keepsake box is basically a beige cardboard tube with hard plastic buffers glued inside, not very securely, as mine fell apart internally. Its best home is in your recycling bin. Ooh, another stomp. Muslin and bows are for the Kris Jenners of this world, apparently, and the rest of us get clunky packaging. Extremely wasteful, given this one's wife's concern for the environment, wouldn't you say? This one's wife's trying to stagger up. The jam itself, much like our Duchess, seems to lack a centre of gravity, and Callahan demonstrates this as she grabs her by the hair again and starts to swing her about the ring once more. It's runny, a kind of jelly that doesn't gel. The taste, also like our Duchess, is sickly sweet, and the texture leaves a filmy coat on the tongue. The price for this notably small 7.6-ounce jar is $14. The cheaper non-keepsake preserves at $9 were curiously not for sale at launch. A classic jar of Bon Maman will set you back around $5 for a more generous 13 ounces. And she's flung across the canvas, spiraling through the air like a pissed-up ninja. And as she comes bouncing back, it's a clothesline from Callahan, which sends the Duchess of Industrial Beige bouncing onto the canvas. She looks dazed as the onslaught continues. Meghan's crepe mix, meanwhile, resulted in a flavour and mouthfeel most akin to undercooked pancakes. It was bland, as for the shortbread cookie mix, $14, which yielded cookies that tasted both a little too sweet and a little too salty, but ultimately lacked any distinctive punch. And now Callahan has got hold of this one's wife by the hair and pulling her onto her knees. She's put her hands up trying to release herself from the grip, but Callahan's hold is too great. She continues with, same with the edible flour sprinkles, $15, which looked like coloured lint you'd pick out of your sweater and felt rough on the tongue and teeth, almost like roasted hay. And bosh! She slams her with a punch to the face while still holding her by the hair. And this one's wife's lower jaw wobbles under this onslaught. Oh, and the words on the jars and tins, I'll give her this. It's clear this one's wife wrote these messages herself. Here's what's on the side of her cookie mix. Let's call this a hug in a box. Boom! Slams her again. That literally makes no sense, but okay. I fell in love with the ritual of tea and biscuits. Why biscuits is in quotes, I have no idea, during my time in the UK. So she wants to memorialise her time in a country she says treated her terribly, a time when she married into a family she says is racist, and who left her so miserable she was suicidal. The logical result? A hug in a box. And it's another slam to the face. And this one's wife now, her eyes look glassy. She's surely losing the will to live under this relentless onslaught from Maureen Callahan. But there's more! How much more can she endure of this brutal takedown? Onto the tea, surely impossible to screw up. This one's wife offers us 3 flavours, with personal anecdotes on each tin, such as this on her herbal hibiscus concoction. There is something magical about placing tea leaves in a mason jar outside. This really depends on where you live, and letting it steep in the warmth of the sun, as I do with my children. The children? I'm sorry. Did she and Harry not flee Britain in part to keep the children safe from publicity? Why are we now mentioning them on the side of an overpriced tin of tea? And this one's wife, she's dazed, and Callahan releases her grip as Callahan climbs up on the rope. She's standing over this one's wife. Could this be the final part of the takedown? As for the 3 flavours, which also include herbal lemon ginger and herbal peppermint, they're all watered down with, again, little to no actual taste. And I used boiled water for each cup per this one's wife's instruction. The hibiscus brewed to a very deep, almost neon purple, but its vibrant hue was in stark contrast to its insubstantial taste. The lemon and ginger was like hot water, hard to achieve given that ginger usually delivers a real kick. And here comes Callahan with a real kick as she leaps off the ropes and slams into this one's wife, knocking her to the canvas before Callahan scrambles over and positions herself over her, giving her another slap and then standing triumphantly. The referee runs in and Callahan ends. If this one's wife envisions these teas as the perfect beverage to accompany her sweet treats, I'd suggest not pairing them but saving them to the end, especially the peppermint, which helps with what this taste test nearly induced in me, nausea. And she's been counted out. This one's wife is out for the count as she lies there, drool spilling from her mouth, as she has been completely battered in this metaphorical wrestling match with Maureen Callahan, who launches a brutal takedown of this one's wife, products and packaging. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.